Welcome to episode 2 of the Miranda podcast, which is basically a little podcast that me and Raye are doing to help women understand ways that they can look 10 years younger naturally. And this week, Raye has been doing a trampetting or rebounder challenge, a 30-day challenge where she's never done it before. And she's going to share with us what it's done for her in the short 7 days that she's been doing it. So basically, Raye, tell us all about your challenge and some of the effects it's had on you.
Okay, so I'm going to backtrack slightly a couple of weeks as to where I got the idea from. I've been up with my brother and his 3 kiddies, and they have just got a new big trampoline in the back garden. And the eldest said, "Come out into the trampoline." And I'm thinking, okay, that should be fun. A little bit hesitant because I was thinking, is my bladder going to be affected, and how long can I bounce for, and am I going to wreck a knee? But I got on the trampet with him and his sister. And we were just bouncing and bouncing and bouncing and bouncing. And it was so easy and it was so much fun. And I just felt like we didn't have a trampoline whenever I was a kid, but I just felt like I was 5 years old again, having fun, totally carefree. Body felt fantastic. It was really, really cool trying to balance on the trampoline. And then they started doing all their shapes and somersaults and stuff. And I was just playing around with how did it feel in my legs? Could I trust my body, jumping up and down, landing? And I came away having laughed and laughed and laughed. And I felt so strong afterwards. Whenever I got down off the trampoline and onto the ground, I felt really, really grounded. And anyway, long story short, stuff kept coming up then on social media about trampolining, trumpetting, and the lymphatic system. And I have a real soft spot for the lymphatic system, which is probably an odd thing to say, but I can get a little bit sinusy, a little bit congested. I have got varicose veins. I've had varicose vein surgery, and that was amazing, but I don't really want to go through that again. And my veins have been bothering me a little bit with pain recently. And I thought maybe if I get myself a trumpet and do a little bit of bouncing, that might actually be really good. It might be really good for my energy. It might be good for my sleep. It might be good for any congestion I've got. It might help with any puffiness around my eyes, and it might help my varicose veins, and it might help my pelvic floor, my bladder. I am 51. You have to be aware of these things. And so then the algorithm starts sending you stuff. And I was like, right. And I knew the last time I'd mentioned it to my husband, he was like, oh, another piece of kit in the garden. And that has stopped me before. And I remember an amazing lady called Louise Hay had said, now she's dead, she died in her 90s, I think, and she started Hay House. She was an amazing woman, and she bounced every day for 10 minutes. And I thought she was doing that in her 80s and in her 90s. How amazing. And she just looked so young and vital. So anyway, long story short, again, went on Facebook Marketplace. Somebody was selling one that had never been used, picked it up, brought it home, and started bouncing. And I just felt great. It just made me so happy bouncing and feeling free and weightless. So that's sort of, we had a bit of a chat. And I was like, right, I'm going to do this. And you were like, video it. And yeah, the videoing wasn't particularly easy because who wants to be on camera? But actually, as a physio, I love teaching people and helping people to feel better in their bodies and doing it in a way that is easy and accessible and keeps them safe. And it's just been fantastic. And I noticed on Monday, I can't remember what day the challenge that was, but I was feeling I was really tired. I hadn't slept well. I felt congested, clogged. I hadn't eaten particularly well the day before. And I'd been out, done the horse, come home, and I thought, just get on the trampoline, see how you feel. So I did 10 minutes, bouncing, stretching, breathing. And I got off and I was like a new person. Everything felt light. And I absolutely love it. And now there's something inside me that just goes, oh, just get on the trumpet. It'll completely change how you feel. It just completely flips it. So now I've noticed loads and loads and loads of things have improved. Just huge amounts. One thing that, that I wasn't expecting, there was a great study done by NASA, but it was done back in the 80s that showed if you did 10 minutes on the rebounder, it was like 30 minutes of running, because they were using it to try and help their astronauts get fitter quicker and navigate being out in space. And I had gone down to the yard. So my young horse was down quite a long lane, down at quite a long field, and she got herself stuck on the other side of her fence. I don't know what she was doing, but anyway. And she was calling because all the other horses had come down, and I could see she was panicking. And so I started running. And I think I'm going to have to stop in a second. I was like, no, this feels great. And I was on rutted terrain, and it was quite dark, and I was trialing one contact lens so I couldn't really see where I was going. And I just kept going, and I felt so strong. Like, I don't remember feeling that good running ever, really. Like, I've never really been that much a runner, but there have been times when I have run consistently and a lot. Then I got into the field and I thought, well, maybe I'm going to have to stop in a second. No, I just kept powering down to the horse. Super mum to the rescue. And I'm thinking, this must be what they're talking about. That my tendons and my ligaments felt strong. My ankles felt really strong. My feet planted and pushed off. My knees were great. My hips were going in the right direction. Whenever you think, is this for real? And the only thing I can put it down to that I've changed in my life is rebounding.
Crazy. In like 1 week. One
Yeah,
week.
1 week of doing it. I haven't had varicose vein pain now probably for about 10 days. And it was really starting to make me think I was going to have to go and see the doctor about them. That could just be an anomaly. My
Yeah.
puffiness around my eyes has gone. My skin, some of my patients have been saying, your skin looks really good. I haven't done anything different. Must be the trampet. Because if you're flushing the lymphatic system,
Yeah.
you're going to have brighter skin. It's going to be more juicy, glowy. You're going to be less likely to get the dull complexion, the acne, I can't say that it's going to affect age spots, but whenever you just sort of have
Mm.
sort of like that shadow and roughness. Um, yeah, I've
Mm.
definitely noticed quite a lot. And I can run up and down the stairs now, so I can run up the stairs, and I'm thinking that was good. Whenever you sort of think, oh, that felt good. I get out of bed in the morning, I stand up straight, my feet feel much better. Like you can get plantar fasciitis much more easily whenever you're in your 50s and you're menopausal than any other time in your life. And my feet feel an awful lot more robust. They feel a lot more flexible. My calves feel really, really good. And certainly from a myofascial perspective, the tendons and the ligaments, tendons specifically, feel like they've got a lot more of an elastic component, and they can take that bounce and they can take that knock. So yeah, I'm so far I'm really, really, really impressed, and it's so much fun. Like, I
Mm.
just feel like a kid in a really good way.
Yeah, I wonder if that's one of the benefits, one of the ways it's
I think
working. 'Cause
so.
I
Yeah,
did some skipping when I had a PT recently, and she made me do some skipping, and I thought, I have
yeah,
not skipped for about
no,
years. But
yeah,
afterwards, I don't know, it was almost like my body had stored some kind of connection with
yeah,
skipping, with being young. I mean, who would
yeah,
have thought that just jumping like a couple of inches off the floor would be so difficult? I was
yeah.
absolutely knackered.
And
So
you've been
I
doing a
think it
little bit
might be the
more.
same thing.
Yeah. And you've also been doing a bit more bouncing recently. Have you noticed that your calves take longer to feel tired, tight, and uncomfortable the more that
Yeah.
you do it? Like
What?
mine, I
Yeah.
could do 70 bounces, and then my calves be like, you need to stop. And I can just bounce and bounce and bounce now. And I'm also finding that I'm feeling much more stable whenever I bounce higher. I want to stick in like 10 extra high bounces, which I wasn't really doing before. Um, yeah, and I think that it definitely improves your balance, which we need as we get older. And certainly with the challenge that I'm doing, as you know, we have got a bit of a plan. So I want people to feel more functionally strong. So we're doing quite a lot with legs marching, bouncing on the spot, legs out the side, building strength in the glutes, building strength in the calves, the quads, the hip flexors, and the core. We've done a core day, we've done an upper body day, so to open up. We talk about heart opening in yoga, but really it's about opening up the chest and making the back a lot stronger so we can stay straighter for longer. Yeah, and I also think that whenever you at this stage you can get a little bit brain foggy, and I'm finding that I'm catching my words much more quickly now,
Yeah.
and I'm not tired,
Yeah.
and my sleep's really, really good.
I
Yeah.
noticed that I can focus better. Like, 'cause I'm
Yes.
doing a lot of work because
Yes.
we're developing like this sleep challenge, and I literally work for like 10 hours solidly,
Hmm.
and normally I would get a bit of brain fog.
Yeah.
And I would just be like, oh, I've got to have a break. I've got to have like a coffee, or I've got to go for a walk or whatever. But I
Yeah.
think I told you, didn't I? At the end of the day, I was like,
Yeah.
oh my God, I've done like 10 hours, like really,
Yeah.
really good work. At
Yes.
no
You.
point did
Yeah.
my brain get fatigued. I mean, I
No.
haven't even got a rebounder. I've just been doing that guy, Jules Horn, on
Yeah.
YouTube,
Well, he's
which
quite
is
amazing, isn't
basically
he?
just jumping up and
Yeah.
down on the spot,
Yeah.
like, 1,000 times, and
Yeah.
shaking your arms and stuff. And I wonder if it not only moves the lymph in your body, but it also
Yeah.
maybe circulates the lymph in your brain. Because I have to say, when I first started jumping up and down, my brain felt like it was like moving,
Yeah.
whereas it doesn't
Well, you're
anymore.
oxygenating everything, aren't you? I mean,
Yeah,
I would completely agree with you. This week we've both been on fire. And is it the bouncing? But I definitely find that normally whenever I get to like 1 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm really struggling to push through. But I've been powering on through this week. And also I've been doing an awful lot more study this week, really looking forward to it. My mood's been so much better. And I've been able to take more in, retain. I don't have to read everything 10 times now.
Mm, mm.
And just
Yeah,
typing stuff off. We've done quite, yeah. And I
yeah,
just find, just cracking on with stuff's been a lot easier, a lot more focus,
yeah.
a lot more
And
focus.
I have to say, I mean, we sound evangelical about this, but I've
Oh,
been
we
more
really do,
relaxed.
don't
Like
we?
normally,
Yeah,
even though like, because I obviously do like my doctoring work like 3 or 4 days a week, and then I
yeah,
do this other stuff that I really look forward to, like the what we're doing. Um, and like even though I spend most of the week looking forward to like doing that stuff, I normally still find it stressful. Like, oh, I've got to
yeah,
do that, I've got to do that, and I just feel a bit stressed, and I'll do it all, and I'll still feel a bit stressed. But I noticed like on Monday and Tuesday that I'd done everything, but I'd really
mm,
enjoyed it, and I hadn't got myself stressed, and
no.
it was really, really strange. Like it was like something had shifted in my mind to just
But you're clearing
flow. I
waste
think it
from your
gets you
brain.
out of survival,
Yeah,
maybe.
yeah. You're just clearing and cleaning. You're
Yeah.
allowing much more of a transfer of all those fat soluble vitamins that we need. You're clearing out waste and toxins. And one
Mm.
thing that I find, going back to varicose veins, that I thought was really cool was I was listening to a lady the other day, and she was saying whenever you go into the high point of your bounce, your valves in your veins open. And whenever you come to the low point of your bounce, they close. And so the bouncing is just pushing everything
Yes.
through, and
Yeah,
then
because
you're
lymph can't go
clearing,
back.
yeah. And
Yeah.
so all the anti-gravity stuff is you're lightening up the load in your gravity takes the swelling down to your fingers and to your feet,
Mm.
so you're reversing that, so everything's actually feeling lighter in your extremities, so you have a much more of a weightless experience. I definitely have had, I can get my rings on more easily, actually. It's just silly little things like that. I know my feet.
Crazy.
So from a reflexology perspective, the webs would be your lymphatic points. And so in my feet, they can get a little bit puffy. They have been really nice and sinewy all week. So, whenever they're going to look
Mm.
gorgeous
You
in my
know,
summer sandals next year. Yeah, but I can, my body's telling me that everything feels better. I haven't been quite so puffy. My sinuses haven't been quite so congested, but I'm also finding that I'm draining much more easily. Yeah, I
Mm.
do you know what? It's fun and it ticks all my health boxes.
Yeah.
I've also found that my core, my posture's been a lot better. My pelvic floor has been a lot better. Less, I'm not going to the toilet at night.
Yeah,
Uh,
I was doing the bouncing this morning. I was doing my Jules Horn this morning, not just because he's got his top off and he's got a very nice whatever those
and
lines are called.
nearly snorted that out my nose. Yeah, and he's
Uh,
genuinely a nice
yeah,
guy, isn't
I
he?
think there's an extra layer of
There
enjoyment
needs to be more
watching him
supportive
jump up
pants
and
on, though.
down. Hmm?
More supportive pants.
Yeah, he does fall around, and but he's got an adorable dog as well. It's like his dog wandered out. It's kind of poodle cross. I was like, oh my god, could this get any more adorable? And then the sun came out just as he was finishing, and he was all dappled in sunlight, and I was like,
Yeah,
oh
the
my,
angels were singing, weren't they? But
yeah,
he seems like such a genuine person. And I was
yeah,
watching another thing that he was doing with his fasting, and I thought that was very interesting. He's obviously like he's way ahead of. We're doing it slightly later in our lives, but isn't it great to see people like that putting really
yeah.
good content out?
Yeah, yeah. When I was doing it this morning, I was jumping up and down. I was like, oh my God, I actually realized that I actually had to hold my core, my pelvic floor, because obviously everything is bumping up and
Well,
down. So I
you're
was like,
going
oh my God,
down,
this is
it's going
how I'm
up.
going to do, because
Yeah,
I am so lazy with pelvic floor. And literally, I know I haven't had a child for like 20 years, but I never really, really dialed in the pelvic floor
yeah.
exercises. And obviously, you know, it's not very
Well,
strong.
you've had
But I was like,
three
oh,
big boys.
I could actually like do my pelvic floor exercise,
Yeah,
almost what
yeah.
I'm doing,
Well,
because
it'll do it.
I have to like tense everything
Yeah,
so
yeah,
that everything doesn't practically fall out. So I'm
yeah.
like, oh my God, this is ticking so many
Well,
boxes. And
and
I remembered it, yeah,
as long as you, whenever you're doing it, that if you apply the level of bounce according to how that feels down there.
yeah, yeah,
Because if you're thinking actually that's feeling quite strained, then just bounce less.
yeah. But
That's cool.
I
But
really
I
do
think
have
you're
to
right.
lock my core
Yeah,
when I'm bouncing. So that's one.
yeah,
And the other thing I notice is that 'cause I do suffer from headaches, and I think they
yeah,
come from my neck. 'Cause I'm a bit. And that has definitely got less. And I've noticed that I think the jumping up and down is loosening all the
It will do,
shoulders.
because I think something that we were also going to talk about was the self-massage that you can do. And certainly so we want to do a little bit under the collarbone, but you can get quite, not you, but one can get quite puffy on the top of the collarbone. And also these muscles, the sternocleidomastoid muscles that go from the back of the jaw through to the sternum. If they're tight, they're going to be compressing and they're going to be stopping the flow. Yeah, it is.
Drains
And
the brain.
as you're bouncing, the shoulders are going to be up and down. And then also all of that shaking is going to be clearing all the sinus points around here and around here. So that's really, really cool. Yeah. And also I thought that whenever you said that to me the other day, whenever I did that little video of his, all the rotations and the arm stuff, you're actually getting your muscles contracting and relaxing. And if muscles are contracting and relaxing well, then they're healthy.
Mm. And you know what else? I was watching another one. I think she's called Ella or Ellie. She does a lot of stuff on lymphatic. I think she's Australian or something. And it was just fascinating when she was talking about it, because I don't know about you. Well, I don't think you do sit at a computer very much, do you? But basically,
No.
when you sit at a computer and you don't move your head for hours,
Absolutely.
it can cause stress on the nervous system, because it means that when you do move, it perceives movement as a bit of a threat and a shock.
Yeah.
Not used to the movement. It almost like down regulates how it manages movement, whereas this does the complete opposite. And
Absolutely.
I've noticed, because when I work at my computer for hours on end and I get up, I can get a bit like, a little bit vertigo. And I've noticed that has gone away, and I feel like I need to move more, and like my nervous system likes me moving.
But we're supposed to move as humans. But if you think about that chin forward position, the head weighs between 12 and 15 pounds. We should be nice and open across the chest, deep neck flexor muscles working. But as we go into the computer, we are closing down all these lymphatic points, but also the head's going forwards. Then the muscles get tight at the back, and where the vagus nerve comes out, we're compressing that. So then that's going to have a knock-on effect in your fight or flight, not being able to, and we're compressing, so we're not breathing. And also you reduce your circulation in your in your full body by, I think, about 30% with only 20 minutes of sitting, which is a bit of a worry. And if you think about the points that we compress, we have the right angle at the hips and the right angle at the knees, and that's all compressing those lovely big lymphatic points as well. Because I think I was going to say to you about it's important to flush through here, and then all the way up through the jaw to the ear, across here, the caterpillars of the eyebrows, and then you want to come into the armpit, the belly, the groins, and the backs of the knees. And those are all points, if you think when you sit for too long, you're compressing.
Yeah, because
no wonder we feel sluggish.
I was watching the Andrew Huberman podcast that he did a whole 90-minute episode on the lymphatic system. And what people don't realize, I mean, I knew this obviously because I'm a doctor and I studied it, but what people don't realize is that the lymphatic system doesn't have a pump like everything, like blood. The heart pumps it around the body, but the lymphatic system, the only pump it's got is the muscles in the calf. So when we're sat down and our legs up, I notice my feet get really, really, really cold when I'm absorbed by work, and that's literally because it's just everything.
There's no circulation, and the calves are the second heart. They're seen as the second heart. So whenever you bounce or you rebound or you run or you walk or you go up hills or you go upstairs, they're doing that, and that's the only way that all that fluid can get pushed back up. And if you think that if it's not coming up from our extremities, it's not getting up to our head. And you know that we talk about another really lovely lymphatic thing that you can do, which is a yoga posture, lying on your back with your legs up the wall. That reverses everything, and 5 minutes of that can decompress your whole system. 5 minutes. Did I say 5 minutes? 5 minutes, not 5 seconds. Yeah.
So for people, I mean, we might be like, obviously you're a physio and a Pilates teacher and I'm a doctor. Maybe we just assume that people know exactly what the lymphatic system does.
We're slightly nerdish, lovey.
Maybe for people who don't know what it does. I mean, tell us what the actual lymphatic system does. What is that fluid doing? Why do we need it moving around?
Well, for me, the lymphatic system is life. Because if you have a healthy lymphatic system, your immunity is going to be good. You're going to have less pain in your body. You're going to have improved flexibility in your body. You're going to have or your fat-soluble vitamins coming into your system. You're going to have less congestion, less nasal congestion. You're going to have less likelihood of varicose veins. You're going to have less fatigue, less brain fog. You're going to have much more comfort in your system, but everything is going to work better. So you're going to fight infection better. You're going to have the transfer of fluid around your system an awful lot better. I would probably look at it slightly differently from a physiotherapy perspective, because if the lymphatic system is not flowing, then I notice there's a lot more congestion in somebody's body, which they have to then really look at their diet, their lifestyle, make different choices really to try and get everything working better and being less backed up. But then we know the lymphatic system. It's life. It protects the body. It helps the fluid balance. You feel lighter in your system whenever your lymphatic system's working an awful lot better. So I probably look at it from that perspective. I'm not quite sure how you would look at that differently as a doctor, but but then, the congestion in the face, the congestion in the armpits, the congestion in the hips, the congestion in the knees. And only when you start to dive deeper as a physio and don't look at just, that physical layer of just the muscles, ligaments, tendons, joints, bones and stuff. If the lymphatic system isn't working particularly well, the rest of it doesn't work particularly well. And certainly now that we're diving deeper into myofascia, and I'm actually on a course on Sunday. So it'd be interesting to see what the takeaway from that is. We can maybe do another chat about that another time. So I'm quite excited about that.
Yeah, because from
as
a
a physio
point of view,
and reflexologist and a yoga teacher. Yeah. If your energy's not great, nothing's great, Miranda. Put it that way.
Yeah. I mean, I think about it on a cellular level as well, because you think about the whole point of the lymph. So the blood delivers all of the, all the goodies to all of the cells and tissues, and it's the lymph's job to collect all of the waste products and absorb it back in. And basically, it's almost like, do you want to? If do you want your cells to live in a stagnant pond, or do you want them to live in a lovely waterfall?
Yes,
That's how I look at it.
absolutely.
It's like the fluid, the detoxification fluid of the whole body. So if you think about it, if it's taking away the waste products, it's actually going to allow you to just have energy, even more energy in your cells.
Well, you have space, and we know if you have space, and energy can flow freely. As opposed to if you think of a road that has, all the bins out and the extra bin bags and garbage bags, whatever you want to call them, and if the bin men don't come down and clear it, you have to maneuver yourself all around those. Then they get opened, and then there's no space, there's no cleanliness, there's no tidiness, and we don't really like to talk about detoxifying because it's had a little bit of a bad rep, doesn't it? But actually, we are clearing out what the body doesn't need, the byproducts, so that all the stuff that the body does need can come in. But for me, as a yoga teacher and a physio, creating that space for the energy to flow through, the circulation to flow through better. If everything's flowing, we're growing.
Yeah. And I was just thinking about if that's its job, because I'm wondering, because I want to start. I'm starting a bit of weight training, and I'm thinking, do you think that rebounding would be really good for recovery?
Yes, it's going to flush the lactic acid
through. Loads of lactic acid in my muscles, and that's sore, and presumably bouncing up and down is gonna help.
And what I find that with the bouncing is you can just do the little health bounce, but I just find if you get the whole body going as well, that shaking and moving flushes. And then we've also got things that we can do, so you'll see in my videos, quite often I'm just letting my fist just bang against my legs as I'm moving. And all of that also just helps just to get them out of those superficial layers so that it can be taken and then excreted. But definitely the bouncing is going to be great for releasing lactic acid, and also, your delayed onset muscle soreness, just helping to shake things through.
Yeah.
Plus, it's nice not to have to do, there's some studies that just basically show that you don't really want to be working out more than 3 times a week, because you're not actually having the same amount of benefit each time you work out. And it's quite good, I think, to challenge yourself in different ways. And I love the fact that the bouncing really helps your balance. Really helps your balance.
I've noticed I feel more grounded. I mean, he might not like the word grounded. It sounds a bit woo woo, but I mean, literally, I can, because I'm never really in my body. I think this is something that I've got to work on. That sometimes I don't know where I am, but I don't always feel really connected to my body. But I've noticed that I don't know, maybe it's the fact that you're not connected to the ground that you then notice the ground. But I don't know. I feel like I'm a bit more in my body.
Yeah.
I've got my feet a bit more on the earth. And
Yep.
weirdly, very weirdly, I don't know why, but I've been compelled to drink my coffee outside with bare
Yes.
foot on the grass before the sun comes up, which I've
So your
never
body's
done
talking to you.
before.
Yeah, but your body's talking to you.
And I
Don't
never do
forget,
that.
in your feet, you have got the different zones of five zones, and then you've also got the reflexes of each organ in your feet. So as you're bouncing, you're stimulating those. The
Yeah.
stimulation goes from those all the way up through your system, up through to your brain, and fires up in your brain. And so you just get a much better connection from your brain
Mm.
down to your feet. And also by
Yeah.
stimulating them, then they open up and they
Mm.
release. So yeah, I think that there's a bouncing, getting onto the earth. Groundedness is, I think it's becoming less woo woo.
Mm.
It's a word that's been villainized, I think.
Yeah. But I mean, it's something that I've recently sort of just got into,
Yeah.
like just whipping my socks off and just
Yeah, yeah,
standing on
yeah.
the grass. I just feel better when I sleep better.
Yeah.
Whenever I do it, because on my Whoop journal, it asks me grounding practice. And normally I'm just no, 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 no. But
Mm.
I noticed this morning that I'd done it 4 times out of 7, which I've never done. And my sleep is better. My sleep is better when I do it, even if it's just
And
for a few
you
minutes
are
drinking
you
my
still
coffee.
wearing your grounding shoes?
Yes, but it's been so wet, I haven't been able to wear them. I've had to
Yeah.
wear big old work boots when I go out,
Yeah.
because it's so muddy, because they leak. But no, so I haven't really been grounding very much because I've not been wearing them. So
Yeah.
yeah, but
Well,
it's
and you've been
muddy.
busy as well.
Yeah,
And the weather
yeah,
hasn't been great, has it?
no. So it sounds like the rebounding
Yeah.
challenge is going on. So what's coming up? Because I know you've done 7 days.
Yeah. So one other thing I would say about the rebounding is it's making me a lot more aware of my body, more aware of my posture, and it's also making me make better choices with my food and my hydration. I'm hydrating a lot more. And I think sometimes whenever you almost like bring in that focus and it centers you and you start to just go, your body just intuitively makes better choices. So
Yeah, I was thinking about that today because I am
yeah,
a bit naughty when it comes to the hot chocolates and the chai lattes. I mean, I
yeah, but
don't
you
add
do the
sugar
good
or anything
stuff.
to them,
But you do the
but
good stuff.
I have noticed that, and I think I do it because it's comforting and like, you know, a little bit of dopamine. But I
Yeah.
wonder if the bouncing releases some
Well,
neurochemicals.
it's endorphins. It releases the
Yeah, because I've
neurochemicals
noticed
of
I
yeah,
literally haven't been
dopamine and
having them.
serotonin.
I've just
Yeah,
stopped having them, and I didn't
yeah,
even notice that I'd stopped having
yeah,
them.
yeah.
So it's almost like it keeps you, I don't know, it just
Well, I think there's
yeah,
several things
meets your
there.
needs in other ways.
I think that whenever you're releasing those feel good hormones, you're less likely to emotionally eat.
Mm.
And I
Yeah.
think also because you're improving your balance and your groundedness, you innately feel safer. And I think that people emotionally eat whenever, or like, like doom scrolling, and that's whenever you don't feel safe and you're trying to get the hit. And so I think that definitely my balance is a lot better. I feel safer in my body, which sounds really weird, but we're so all over the vague. Well, maybe we're all over the vagus nerve and feelings of safety and trauma release and stuff like that. But I think that when you feel safer in your body, you make better choices because you
Yeah.
don't need to reach for the sugary rubbish. Still nice to have it every now and then, but I think that your body just goes, no, I feel okay. And I've noticed that I have been less like there's a couple of TV series that I kind of just pop on if I just need my brain just to have a bit of white noise that's not going to be like a zombie movie and terrorize me at night. I can't really be bothered to watch much TV now. I'm kind of
Yeah.
thinking, I actually think I might just, go to bed and read a book. So yeah,
It's definitely done something crazy to us.
it has,
Who
hasn't
would have
it?
thought it would have that many benefits? Crazy.
Yeah.
Well, obviously, you're going to keep going with it. It sounds
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
you're going to
absolutely.
just.
And so this past week we've had the 7 days of just getting grounded and balanced. And then my plan is to build on that. So it's all been the simple basic stuff so that anyone can do it. You don't need to have a trampoline. You can just bounce on the grass. You can bounce on the ground. You can use your kids' trampoline, whatever. And it's for me, it has to be safety first and that anyone can access it, because I just think it's so sad whenever people try and do something and they're like, well, I don't have that and I can't do that. So that's been my plan. And then this week we're going to build on it with a little bit more sort of coordination, so that there's always something that people can access that they can do. Get a little bit more cardiovascular system working, a little bit more endurance, so for a little bit longer. And then we'll be doing a little bit of a different breathing technique, because I was doing much more sort of just bringing us back. But this week I'm going to change that up. But because I want people to be able to get used to finding ways that make them feel better, that are dead easy. And I think if you practice something for 7 days with somebody holding your hand, then you'll more naturally go, oh, well, I'm going to try that and see if that helps me, with whatever. And certainly, I always probably over explain, but I think that knowledge is power, and that if you know and you understand why you do stuff, it's more likely to be retained. So we're going to do more core, more upper body work, more lower body work, more strengthening. So strengthening all the bits and bobs of the body that I know that if people don't have, they can't function particularly well. They don't feel great in their body. And yeah, and you feel old if you what was it, if you have got good spinal health, you feel an awful lot younger. If you've got good tendon health, you feel an awful lot younger. You've got the bounce in your body, you feel much younger, don't you? So yeah, I want people just to feel much lighter and much more uplifted, and then naturally life will be better.
Yeah. Well, it's been a massive success. So what are we going to put in the show notes? Obviously, I'll put a link to the playlist of what the days you've done so far. And you said you were going to do something else as well. Oh yeah, we've done a PDF, haven't we?
Yeah, we've done a
And there
PDF.
was one other thing you said you would do.
So I'm going to do a little video for like 5 minutes of just lymphatic pumping yourself. That's dead easy. So it'll be something as simple as 10 taps, 10 rubs, 10 taps, 10 rub, but just working. You know, if you're sitting watching TV, you can do it. But what it'll do is it'll just get everything pumping, and just some really easy take-home tips that people can go, I can't be bothered to do very much, don't really feel like bouncing, but what can I do for my lymphatic system that's dead easy? And they can do it in their living room.
I wonder if, because I did a bit of qigong for a while, and there was a lot of like banging out here and banging kidneys. Maybe you could do something like that.
Well,
that
tapping will be coming.
Tapping up your arms, and I think now that what it was doing was moving the lymph.
Yes, it's moving the lymph, and certainly
maybe.
I mean, you think about the kidneys. Kidneys are flushing, aren't they? So yeah, absolutely. And then the other thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do an energy block release sequence. That's a great start to the day, and you can do it anywhere. So we'll have a bit of fun with that.
You can do it on the trampette, presumably.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Maybe that'll be week 4.
Yeah, you do,
because I know I have to think. Well, but absolutely.
Oh, well, thank you for that. Okay, I'm amazed. I honestly could not predict it, that it would have gone that well, and that I would have started doing it without a trumpet.
Yeah. But it goes to show that you can, doesn't it?
Yeah, really strange. Even my teenage boys know Jules Horn. They think he's amazing. I don't think they've actually been doing any bouncing around, but I think they watch him.
The cool thing is they know of him, and your boys are teenagers. And the fact that they know of him now, which we didn't. Well, we didn't have YouTube, did we?
So the lymphatic system is officially like down with
live.
Cool, yeah. All right. Well, thank you very much.
You're very welcome.
Stuff in the show notes. And yeah, that's today's episode.
Excellent. I'll see you soon.
Bye.
Bye, love.
Everyone. Bye.